Good morning, my dear students. Students, in the previous session, we have seen that when Britishers came in India and they captured the territories in India, they conquest India. After that, iron and steel was imported from Britain to India. And this displaced iron and steel produced by craft person in India. So, children, today in this session, we will learn about the reasons of abandonment of furnaces in village. We will also discuss about iron and steel industry in India, like TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company. Children, in the previous session, we have discussed about wood steel. We have discussed about the sword of Tipu Sultan. So we know why the sword of Tipu Sultan was so special, because it was made with a special type of high carbon steel called woods. Now, when wood steel was made into swords, it produced a very sharp edge with a flowing water pattern. And this pattern came from a very small carbon crystals embedded in the iron. So production of wood steel required a highly specialized technique of refining iron. But iron smelting in India was extremely common till the end of 19th century. And in Bihar, central India, every district had smelters that used local deposits of ore to produce iron, which were widely used for manufacture of implements and tools of daily use. Now, to make steel, the furnaces were used and they were built of clay and sun-dried bricks. In these furnaces, iron was mixed with charcoal and put inside small clay pots, and through an intricate control of temperatures, the smelters produced steel that was used to make swords or other implements and tools of daily use. Now, smelting was done by men while women worked the bellows, means pumping the air that kept the charcoal burning. Children, we have already discussed about smelting in the previous session. Smelting is a process of obtaining a metal from rock by heating it to a very high temperature. That is what we have learned, the process of making steel in the previous session. And bellows is a device or equipment that can pump air. So women were using the bellows to keep the charcoal burning. Children, in chapter number 2, from trade to territory, we have discussed how Britishers came in India and why they came in India. So we know they came in India to do the trade, and when they got Diwani rights, slowly they started capturing territories. They started subjugating India. And by the late 19th century, iron and steel was imported from Britain. This displaced iron and steel craft persons in India because people were using iron and steel which was imported from Britain. Now, we will discuss what were the reasons of decline of iron smelting in India and abandonment of furnaces. Now the first reason, the new forest laws. According to these forest laws, Britishers have declared some forest as reserve forest, which prohibits the entry of tribes into the forest, which means these forest laws do not allow the entry of anyone into the forest. So many tribes, many iron smelters who are working on furnaces, now they were not allowed to enter into forest. So from where they will get the wood for charcoal, and from where they will get the iron ore, and how they will make the steel. So another reason, the government did grant access to forest, means government allowed some iron smelters to enter into the forest, but they have to pay heavy taxes to the Britishers to enter into the forest. It means huge amount they have to pay to the Britishers. Children, we know in India iron and steel was imported from Britain. So iron smelters in India, they have to face the competition from the iron and steel that was imported from Britain. And now if they want to make steel, they have to pay heavy taxes to the Britishers. So they were not able to earn any profit, and they were suffering huge amount of losses. And by the early 20th century, the artisans producing iron and steel, they faced a new competition. Children, now we will discuss about how iron and steel factories started in India. So who was Jamshedji Tata? Jamshedji Tata was an Indian pioneer, industrialist, who founded Tata Group, India's biggest conglomerate company. Now, what is conglomerate company? It is a multi-industry company, means entirely different industries are operating under one corporate group. Now, Jamshedji Tata, he founded Tata Group of companies, and he regarded as a legendary father of Indian industry. As I said, he decided to spend a large part of his fortune to build a big iron and steel industry in India. So, children, behind this, there is a story. Like in the year 1904, in the month of April, Charles Weld, an American geologist, and Dorabji Tata. Dorabji Tata was the eldest son of Jamshedji Tata. They were traveling in Chhattisgarh in search of iron ore deposits. As I said, he want to build a big iron and steel industry in India. So he was finding the source of fine quality iron ore. So he spent many months to search the source of good iron ore because he want to set up modern iron and steel plant in India. So obviously it was a very costly affair. After traveling for many hours in the forest, Weld and Dorabji came up a small village and found a group of men and women carrying basket loads of iron ore. Now, when they saw these people carrying baskets of iron ore, they asked them, who are these people? Who were these people? So these people were the Agarias.
Now, after traveling for many years in the forest, Weld and Dorabji, in a small village, they found a group of men and women carrying basket loads of iron ore. So these people were Agarias. Agarias were an Indian community of iron smelters. These were tribal people. And when asked from where they had found the iron ore, Agarias pointed to a hill. Now Weld and Dorabji, they reached to that hill. And after exploring the hill, the geologists declared that they had finally got the place what they were looking for. Rajhara Hills had one of the finest ores of the world. But children, there was a problem. The region was dry and water was very necessary for running the factory. So they had to continue their search again for a better place, for a suitable place where they can set up a factory. Because at Rajara Hills they cannot set up a factory because water was not available there. So now these Agarias they helped them in searching the place from where they can get the iron ore, and that would later supply the Bhilai steel plant. And after few years, a large area of forest was cleared on the banks of river Subarnarekha. Now Subarnarekha river originates from Nagri, this Nagri village in the Ranchi district and runs through some major cities and towns, that is Jamshedpur, Ranchi, before joining to the Bay of Bengal. Now, here they can set up the factory and an industrial township in the Jamshedpur, because here there was water near iron ore deposits. The Tata Iron and Steel Company TISCO that came up began producing steel in 1912. Children, we have discussed in the previous slide, TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company, began producing steel in the year 1912. But this industry also had to face some problems initially because British experts did not trust on quality of Indian steel. So Britishers were not buying steel from TISCO in India. So now expansion of the railways in India had provided a huge market for rails that Britain produced. Children, first railways in India started in the year 1853. Now the political condition and economic trend of the 19th century in India, it induced the Britishers to construct railway lines all over the India. So they want to start new railway lines. because it will improve the mode of transport, because it was believed that it would assist the economic development of India and provide both a market for British goods and a source of raw material. But in 1914, when First World War broke out, Tisco got the opportunity to produce steel for both India and Britain, because Britain also needs steel to meet the demands of war in Europe.
So, children, when First World War broke out, imports of British steel into India declined, as because they also need steel to meet the demands of the war in Europe. Now, Tisco got the opportunity to produce the steel for railway lines in India. As I've already discussed in my previous slide, that Britishers want to develop railways. They want to start new railway lines so that mode of transport should improve, because it will provide the market for British goods and a source of raw materials. And Tisco also got opportunity to produce shells and carriage wheels for the war. So Britishers took the help of Tisco for the production of carriage wheels and shells for the war, because the war dragged on for several years. Now Tisco became the first biggest steel industry within the British Empire. By 1919, the colonial government was buying almost 90% of the steel manufactured by the Tisco. So industrial expansion occurred only when British imports into India declined and the market for Indian industrial goods increased.
Children, in case of iron and steel and in case of cotton textiles, industrial expansion occurred only when British imports into India declined and the market for Indian industrial goods increased. So this happened during the First World War and after that. Now in the previous slide we have seen about Tisco, Tata Iron and Steel Company. Like when First World War broke out, Tisco got an opportunity to produce steel for Indian railways and also to produce shells and carriage wheels for Britishers to meet the demands of the war with Europe. Now we have also seen by 1919 the colonial government was buying almost 90% of the steel from Tisco, and Tisco became the biggest steel industry within the British Empire. So as the nationalist movement developed, an industrial class became stronger. The demand for government protection became louder. Like children, we have discussed in the earlier chapters also that after the revolt of 1857 and Blue Rebellion, people started demanding their rights, because peasants, sepoys, zamindars, they were very unhappy with the Britishers. So later they opposed the Britishers also. So now to retain its control over India, the British government had to concede many of these demands in the last decades of colonial rule. So they considered many of the demands of the Indian nationalist. So children, in this chapter we have learned about two important industries of India, like textiles and iron and steel industry. We have also seen that they were very famous in the beginning because of their fine quality fabric and steel. But later, when Britishers came in India, they declined. And we have also learned about how during the First World War and after it, they grew and expanded. I hope, children, you have understood the chapter. Thank you, children. Stay home, stay safe.